We are a group of friends, bound by our appreciation for liberty and good podcasting. Free-minded thinkers from all walks of life, our values come together with one accord to discuss the common culture and news of the day, along with whatever random crap is going on in our lives. Welcome to the Union of the Unknowns.
There's a baby.
That's a
There's
non-GMO baby,
future.
right?
Right on cue, man. There's our
red
future
pill
hope.
moment. Yeah.
There you go.
Non-GMO.
There's your white pill
Yes,
right
ma'am.
there.
Yeah.
She's non-GMO all the way, right, Toons?
Yes, ma'am.
That's excellent. What a good baby.
She's
Oh.
never
had
taken
that
a bottle.
baby
She's
yesterday.
yeah. She's only
She's
been
never
on mama.
taken a bottle.
Only on mama.
What a
Yeah.
good baby.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. We got that good unvaxxed.
Yeah. I mean, that was,
Excellent.
I didn't even know that like the
Vagina.
were,
Vagina.
they were like, it never even occurred to me. People would call me on my radio station and really upset about it. And I was like, I don't know. What do I, talk about it if you want to, but I don't know. I can't evaluate them because I have no medical training, I used to say. And now I just feel like it's the opposite. You need to prove it to me that it's safe
I agree. Yeah.
and
Completely
effective.
agree.
That
This
to
is gonna
me
be
is a good red pilling thing, actually. That the problems with the COVID jabs, not really,
Vagina.
that have caused a lot of skepticism about
Vagina.
in general. There've been a lot of people
Yes.
not going along with it now.
Yeah, I
COVID
feel like the
jabs are
COVID, the COVID stuff actually created anti-vaxxers, like real anti-vaxxers that are going to question
Mhm.
other
Vagina.
now because of the horse shit
Yeah.
they pulled with this one. I never thought about
Vagina.
before this. Now I'm like, fuck, what are we putting in people?
Yeah.
From the beginning, all of them, the
Yeah.
flu shot. My
Yeah.
mother's like, oh, I'm going to get the shingle shot. I was like, the shingle shot? Are you crazy? And she's like, I've done it before. And I was like, I don't know, Mom. I don't know. Like, I don't know how much more you can take. She's probably not resilient enough to take that, but she only does half. Like, even when she gets pills from doctors, she just like breaks them in half. I don't need all that. And we're just like, that's like blood thinner, Mom. You can't be messing with that. I can tell.
if I
So
can't take
that's-
a hard left turn real quick. I was talking to Bruce yesterday when I saw him about my wife's on a bunch of more freedom oriented Facebook pages, and somebody was looking for breast milk, and my wife's producing extra. She's already feeding two children, but they were looking for specifically
Vagina.
breast milk, and she was showing me some pictures of some ladies that had milk that looked like it was turning blue. It was very weird. It almost looked like skim milk. It had a very thin layer of like cream almost, and then the bottom 3/4 was like blue skim milk.
Are you saying that women don't want to feed their children their own breast milk because were
Vagina.
I'm not
and
sure
now
if that was
regret it?
I'm not sure if that was the case, but it was specifically looking for
Vagina.
milk, and then there was a lot of cases where the milk is coming out and it literally is blue. Like it's weird.
Wow.
Um,
Heard of that.
They
but
do
there was
say
a
hit the reproductive.
who was the
Been a
woman?
few cases of children killed by breastfeeding from
Vagina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
a
did
few
see
cases
that.
in that.
I can't remember her name, but it was Laura Logan or somebody.
Oh, that rings a bell.
When my wife was still pregnant, she was talking about how breast milk will transfer the
Vagina.
to your baby. And this is probably like 6-8 months ago. And now, being my wife being on mom pages, she's seeing exactly what she was predicting. The milk's changing color, and it's something to do with like a bruising in the body that's making it change color.
Isn't that
You
what the
think-
baby formula shortage was all about? Getting women to
Vagina.
women to breastfeed their kids.
Yeah,
Well, that's
Could
an
be.
interesting idea.
Scary.
Was that somebody?
Oh, yeah.
I think somebody
Wow.
else, mentioned that. I was like, good point.
It's
I
an
never thought of that
interesting
one.
idea.
I know.
I was
That's the
curious
value
if
of
anybody else
Twitter.
had
People talk
seen
to
had seen anything with that specific topic. It was mind blowing to me because, like I said, maybe 6-8 months ago, I'm sorry, I forget the woman's name, but she was saying that specifically breast milk is going to transfer the
vagina
into babies. And she was saying that the milk is going to change color to either a green or a blue.
Christiane Northrup used to, that Dr.
Christian
Northrup used
Northrup
to
talks about that, yeah. The spike
talk about-
protein has
Yes.
been detected in breast milk for sure. I know that's true.
It's
So
interesting,
we'll
actually.
slim down.
I was doing a little bit of research recently because Ashley asked me a question about Chinese relations with Australia. So I was just doing some research, and I did notice how in 2019, the Chinese bought up a couple of, there was a really large dairy that produced canned milk, you know, like, what is it? Infant milk? What do they call it again? Baby formula. Yeah, I thought that was interesting because it's like, oh, the Chinese just bought up a huge dairy that produces baby formula in 2019. And it just went, I don't know, it just went through my mind. It's like, that was funny timing. Did they know what was coming?
Yeah, I mean, it was all over the World Economic Forum thing, that baby formula shortage as proof that we're in a global market and we can't afford to have, you know, not trade and to have a
when was
weak
that? So
supply
when did
chain. That was only
2019
recent.
or post 2020? Yeah.
No, it was the same time as that ridiculous Abbott thing. That was one of the first deep dives I did, just based on the congressional testimony that entire thing was manufactured. There were no.
The shortage.
The shortage was because they shut down the factory and made them recall the formula, even though there were 4 sick babies, while 20% of all babies in the country ate from that factory. So there are going to be 4 sick babies any day. And in that group of 1 in 5 kids in the country, they're going to be sick babies, and they were sick from some kind of, you know, bacteria or whatever. But that strain of it was not, the strain that made them sick was not found in that factory, and none of the bacteria at all was found in any formula. So it was proven that was not the source, and they still made them recall, take it off the shelves and throw it in the garbage. Like that, to me, that's what caused the problem. And then when they were ready to open up again, the FDA appealed to the DOJ and asked for permission to padlock the door. And they got it. And they just padlocked the door. It was totally ready to go. And then when that expired, there was this insane, I think there was literally like a fire and like a tornado. You know?
It was a perfect storm.
It was another perfect storm. And I think it got 6 months of babies back on breast milk.
Yeah.
Vaccinated mothers aside, that's probably a good idea for overall.
Of course. Yeah, that's why I was like, why would they do something good?
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very. Yes.
Can I wanted to ask you a question, Monica. You may have covered this in your podcast, but as usual, I'm weeks behind.
It's totally fine because I repeat myself. That I was taught in radio, like no one is listening to every word. You have to repeat yourself. And I was taught as a child, you never repeat yourself. I have 8 older brothers and sisters. It's like, shut the fuck up. You know, I heard that already. And so there was just I had to retrain my mind. And now I got in the habit of repeating myself, which I think is just really bad form. But I'll do it for you, Terry.
Thank you very much. Now, I wanted to talk elections because, you're a libertarian, and there's one side of you is obviously going to say, well, they're both this, they're all the same. It doesn't matter if you're an R or a D, because they're all basically fake. But then I think about what Tom Wood says, and he says, if you're living in New York under Governor Cuomo, or you're living in Florida under Governor DeSantis, your life under COVID was very different. So that part of me thinks that elections are very important. And then given what's happened recently, have the sort of globalists got total control over the elections, so they don't really care what's happening now? It seems to me that they care what the result is, otherwise they wouldn't be indulging in all this fraud. So I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is, I think it's like the propaganda, like the fire hose of propaganda constantly. Like you have to have the elections. They are an important part of the mindset that allows us to consent to this stuff, that we're all getting stuff we don't want. It's all controlled by propaganda. Our representatives are not responsive to what we want. They probably don't know what we want. Even when they try to give us referenda, they're written in a really impenetrable way. They're so grossly overfunded on the one side, whatever side of evil, they're always. So it's a complete facade. The whole thing of choice, of educated voters, of the party. I believe that it's all a complete facade, and that, yes, the voting props that up. However, they do all that to, I think, so that they have to get our buy-in. I don't think you have enough people who would not vote. You would need like 95% of the people to not vote for that to be the answer. And I've just, after all these years of trying to be a libertarian and talking about the Bill of Rights and reaching people, and Ron Paul winning in Iowa, you know, if Ron Paul starts winning in Iowa, you're getting a Trump. So it's not, there is no way within the system to overturn this system. There just isn't. The only thing I think you get, and I think DeSantis is a CIA agent. Like, I totally think that. However, would I rather him than Andrew Cuomo as president? Most definitely, because either because he's there because that's where we are, or he's just maybe he's your hope or whatever, but he's going to throw you a couple of bones. And what he did in Florida, for example, I've mentioned this before. I was talking to a doctor who was on a committee of some medical research institute, and they came up with the perfect protocol. It was very non-disruptive, whatever. They presented it to various governors, including Newsom and DeSantis. Newsom sent his flunky, who was eating while they were talking about it, completely didn't care at all because there was no way they wanted to know. DeSantis was there, had questions, took notes, and implemented the plan. And that was the plan that and it was political in so much as it was and he hired that base as fuck Surgeon General down there. That guy. Right. Wow. I just love that guy.
Yeah,
and
he's great.
Yeah, he's great. He was out here, but they didn't want him, right? So
Censored or something?
What?
Censored? Didn't he get the Surgeon General down there he was criticized for something, like officially, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I don't officially in Florida.
Yes, he said we're not going to mandate
vagina
for our children,
and he recommended against it.
For that. I think he got banned from Facebook and then quickly reinstated.
Yeah,
canceled or something. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Right, but not by DeSantis. But what he said was he did not
DeSantis.
recommend it for children under 12. So he gave that, and he could justify it. It was very, very, very politically powerful to be that guy, to be that minority. And I mean, I'm not as in touch with the rest of the country anymore because it's so intensely crazy living in like brutalist LA. But I feel like, I don't know why dominoes didn't fall necessarily or what. He was just so powerful that he could make that happen. And maybe the political way of doing it is like it's like the smoking rooms in hotels. Like, he used to be a smoker. And hello, Bobby.
Sorry.
I used to be a smoker, and you could smoke in hotel rooms, and no hotel rooms really smell too much like smoke every once in a while. But then when they had only smoking hotel rooms, even as a smoker, I couldn't bear being in the rooms. It's just all smoke. So I feel like, Florida was the smoking hotel room. They're just like, well, we could have people smoking everywhere, or we could just, and then it wouldn't really bother me, but we just put them all in this one place and they can have their voice or whatever, but it won't be it's segregation. They segregated everybody into Florida to to enjoy that freedom, to have that hero that Stella's talking about. And if he became president, I mean, he would have to deliver some of that. Like Trump didn't even have to deliver any, like he didn't really have that much to deliver of any concrete, but DeSantis's angle is a little bit different. Like he's supposedly, you know, good Republican conservative manager of government. Like he would be, if you have to have a CEO of government, which I hate that idea, but Trump went bankrupt 4 times for good reason. Like that was not the reason to hire him as a CEO. But DeSantis could probably do a good job to the extent that we expected him to, at least in the first, you know, at least in the beginning. And if there's no way he's going to turn like Reagan and start doing his own thing and have to get shot, because he is deep, deep state, that guy. So, but in the beginning, you know, they have to, and it certainly puts, you know, taps the brakes a little bit. Do I think it's even worth voting? Is it, you know, I don't think they can completely cheat in every single place. And if there were an overwhelming amount of votes one way or another, it'd be pretty hard to not be affected by that somehow. And for me, I really care about the issues like this constitutional amendment that they voted for in California. It just shocks the conscience. It's an unlimited right to abortion, which means that they will fund it, and they will fund it for people across the border. And it'll definitely be the model for the constitutional amendment, you know, the US constitutional amendment that I'm sure this Roe decision is, you know, promoting. And you know, that we have to vote against, but it won overwhelmingly because it was written in a way that just made it seem totally fine. And it's really not totally fine. So, I mean, I think you have to register your protest to that. You just have to, until 95% of the people are just going to sit it out, and our government just disintegrates in a vacuum, which I just don't think is going to happen. You know, I'm very long-winded, Terry, but there you go.
No, that's very interesting. Yeah.
Can I hop in real quick,
I think
Terry?
your answer is it sort of does make a difference, but probably not in the end.
I do it because I don't think it hurts, but nobody's going to tell me that I can't vote for Ron Paul. I register so I can vote for Ron Paul. If there's ever a blank line, I write Ron Paul.
My favorite description of it was the Republicans are the Washington Generals and the Democrats are the Harlem Globetrotters, and the Washington Generals are there to put up a real good fight, but in the end, the Globetrotters always win.
Yeah.
That's Scott Lizard Abrams' History Homeless podcast.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah. And that's what Obamacare, what happened with Obamacare when the generals had the ball, they were just like, oh shit, we weren't supposed to have the ball.
Exactly.
They had to pop it.
What I've been saying recently is Dan Crenshaw will be arguing very passionately that the gay BCs should be read in libraries for first graders in 10 years, 2030. Dan Crenshaw will be supporting the gay BCs in every elementary school across America. It's just, I mean, 10 years ago, look at what the Republicans were upset about, and now look at them now. 10 years from now, they'll be, you know, pro-trans, pro-abortion, pro.
See, but then you've got to say, then you really know that that's this totally different level agenda that is completely foreign to regular voting people. Because the trans thing is like transhumanism, population control, but people aren't voting for that with an open mind. And the Republicans, whatever, then you're getting to the realm of like what Stella was saying. Then it's such complete theater that I you know, I don't know if it's hopeless or what, but like at that point, it's not because that's what people want. They've been propagandized to want it. As soon as you have a kid or like pay taxes or whatever, I feel like you snap back to what you learned as a child. And I feel like this feels so mechanical, so robotic, so like the machine will descend. Like if that stuff starts happening, they have to have a situation where we are so totally controlled. We've got the turnkey metaverse or whatever, that it really won't matter what we think. And
Don't
I
you
guess
think that's where we're heading? And I don't believe in the bilateral system in any way, shape or form. I think it's total theatre. But what I think maybe there is some value in, and our voting systems here in Australia are completely different to yours. We have to vote or we get fined. you guys, it's a choice. Yeah, I know. But anyway, that's another story. So you guys, it's a choice. You can choose to stay home or you can choose to go to the voting booth. But I think the value perhaps in voting might be the social thermometer. It's almost like it shows, are people still interested? What are they kind of thinking? Do they still have some fight left in them? Is that a fairly valid thought?
You have to say that again. I was totally distracted. I got a message.
I was just saying, do you think the value in voting is not so much the actual illusion of having a say, but it's more about a social thermometer for, I don't know,
yes,
whoever runs the
I
system, I
absolutely
guess,
do.
and for the people as well, so that,
maybe
if
they
people
get
can be
more
bothered
information
getting
out
off,
of it. Yeah.
it's sort of like, have people still got the fight in them? Where are they kind of situated in their heads? Is the propaganda working, etc.?
Yeah, and even just the way, I mean, it could be highly experimental in the way they word the referenda, the way they construct. I mean, that Fetterman
Totally,
thing,
yeah.
that
It's like
Fetterman
marketing.
thing was clearly an experiment.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
this guy,
exactly.
who had brain damage, won.
That's crazy. I mean, he makes Biden look like a sort of intellectual, giant and a fantastic orator. I mean, how could he win? That was ridiculous. Are they just sort of going, it's all fake, and there's nothing you can do about it? Are they just sort of, doing a Yahoo sucks to us?
Mute.
At this point, nothing surprises me anymore. I mean, we had Donald Trump was the president of the United States, and it just keeps getting worse.
I knew for a fact that Hillary Clinton was going to win that race.
Oh, me too.
And then Trump just pulls it off.
Me too. I didn't even believe it that night. What do you think of that?
Well, I thought that election just made the way I was headed in my brain at that point was like, all of these elections are just completely rigged. There's no way Hillary's going to win this. It's not even matter. And I think that was the election where I wrote in Ron Paul because he wasn't running anymore, And but anyway, then Trump wins, and then it made my thinking turn a little bit. And I thought, well, if it proves anything, it's that maybe elections aren't as fake as we think they are.
Oh, see, I think it was faker. I don't even really.
Faker?
Yeah, do you think that might have been meant to have happened?
Yeah, I definitely
think that.
Man, yeah. And look at what happened. Someone had to preside over correcting that 2008 can kick. Somebody had to preside over the total destruction of the U.S. economy, and somebody had to be there to take the fall in case it was discovered. I mean, and had to keep people in line. And who do you need to keep in line? You need to keep in line all those long guns in all the red states. That's what you have to keep in line. So he was the only one who could have gotten us through this COVID thing. I mean, there would have been an insurrection if Hillary had been down there.
Well, yeah, and without Donald Trump, there would be no far right-wing insurrectionist, domestic terrorist Nazis
who don't know the Bill of Rights anymore.
Right.
Yeah, but they went fascism. They finally
Exactly.
brought identity politics to the right. I mean, nothing could be. And I just don't believe people were so like, I can't vote for Ron Paul. Like, I mean, yeah, he's a congressman, but he's so radical. And then you have Trump just saying stupid, embarrassing stuff all the time. Ridiculous, over the top stuff. We're not what he was like when he was a businessman, by the way. And, when it came to business, he was coherent in New York, as I recall. So I remember from the beginning thinking they rigged this thing for Trump. I thought.
So you think that was all rigged, Monica? Because
I'm not saying I saw the evidence. I'm just saying that I can't believe that he won.
But all that anti-Trump sentiment, or the Trump derangement syndrome, and the fact that they were so mad keen on not letting him in the next time, that was all part of the plan.
Maybe there was a fracture within.
No, I never believe that ever. No. I just think that I think that conservatives are conservative. I don't think they're voting for. I just don't. I don't know.
Donald Trump wasn't very conservative.
No.
At all.
Not in any way. Not in his politics.
Guy's a goddamn socialist, anti-Second Amendment
vagina
salesman.
Yeah. And he wasn't conservative in his manner.
conservatives aren't great at conserving anyway. Let's
So
think of a better word for that.
here was yeah, you're right. But I have to just
There's
point this
speed
out.
bumps.
I remember watching the RNC and DNC when Obama was elected, and the DNC had people, everybody was, painted and, old ladies with like halter tops on, and just, it was, freaks, they were just old hippie freaks. And then, and the RNC, when there was like a little Ron Paul insurrectionist in the corner who like maybe were wearing t-shirts instead of suits and ties, like that was it. And it was funny, like the side by side, I remember laughing about it. And then all of a sudden you have all the Trump people who were kind of more flamboyant in their, people weren't wearing suits anymore at that thing. And I just remember thinking like now all of a sudden the kind of nutty gang is the Republicans. Like that just, I'm not making these judgment calls. I like the MAGA crowd. I'm just saying it just seemed like not where the Republicans were. And all of a sudden they became this other thing. And when Obama leaked that when in 2012, like the Democrat Party is abandoning the white middle class, like you would only say that if you wanted to alienate them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they really care, really. I mean, they're just so, I don't think there's been a time when politicians have been more disconnected from ordinary people. Not that I can remember.
And more proud of it.
Yeah, they're proud of it. And then they sort of look down on ordinary people. They've got, the Dems in particular have got utter contempt for these MAGA Republicans who voted for Trump, which is like, what, 30% of the country? It just seems, it seems like we're more at a sort of pre-collapse phase of Western society, really, to me. And, they're showing all these signs of all the sort of transhumanism and the transgenderism. It's like kind of the last days of the Roman Empire. That's just my take on it. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think something good could come out of it. If we all end up divided and having to live in Florida under somebody a bit like DeSantis who gives us a bit more freedom, that would be fine by me.
It's the future,
but
the future free state of New Hampshire.
Do you think that's going to work?
We're going to
No, absolutely not. But me and Bruce are going to try.
I wanted to ask you guys if you think that, do you believe that there has been in recent years a record turnout in votes? This was one thing I did when Trump got elected. I did not believe the voting numbers at all. It said 85% of eligible voters voted. Come on.
Yeah, no way. No.
Yeah, that seems a bit high.
Does that
The
include
highest
dead
is-
people
Yeah.
and cactuses?
Yeah.
It was the highest like in 100 years. And 100 years ago, eligible voters was a smaller percentage of the population. It was like, right?
And then look at who voted,
Good
how
old
many
days.
people voted for Joe Biden.
Yeah, that's right. Trump's vote went up, and yet even more people voted for Biden. I mean, that's just completely.
Yeah.
That really was like they were saying, we're just, going to fake it, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, we need to save democracy.
It
What's your plan?
hasn't done a very good job. It could have saved itself all along. So yeah, no, I'm not. If you guys want to hit any other thing, I'm fine. I'm happy to.
I just want to say one other thing, Monica.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how Trump, everyone was like, and especially like a lot of Christians and stuff like that, were like, oh, he's all of a sudden he became like the right-wing savior and so forth. And then all of a sudden, Elon Musk is like the free speech savior, and it's like it's noticing more and more about how these alleged saviors are coming to like rescue people. And they do say in the book it's like the end times, and I'm not even though I'm a Christian, I'm not as well versed as I should be. So anyhow, so even though I am supposed to be, but anyways, that's a whole other story. They do talk about how there's like a false prophet in Revelations where someone is supposed to be like loved by everyone and everyone is just so blinded by them. So I just feel like this is just like a representation that is, go find Patrick. That's a representation that is like leading up to all of that. And like, they're just like, it's like these little testers right now. What do you think about that?
Well, I think they give the heroes to neutralize us so you don't have to worry about it. Somebody else is doing it. And so I never believed in, these cults of personality are all setups, in my opinion. I do like this idea of an antichrist has always, I've been taught that since I was little. I don't know what Pope Francis's deal is at all, but of all the times I've looked into popes and trying to see if they really say things that are contrary to Catholic teaching. And I feel like he was the first one where it was crystal clear to me that he was doing that. But I also concluded a long time ago that you could not be held responsible for recognizing an antichrist who didn't do anything wrong until it was too late. Like, so if somebody really says all the right things and then you believe in it and then all of a sudden pulls off the mask and it's Lucifer, like that isn't a way to separate the goats from the sheep. That cannot be God's litmus test, because it has to be something that you can recognize. If he's going to actually hold us accountable for this judgment, it has to be something that our reason and our understanding of right and wrong and our free will can get us on the right side of that. And that's why I always ask, like, even with Ron Paul, I understand what you're saying, like just a hero is bad, whatever. But I feel like if there is a hero, if there is a second coming, or if there is an antichrist or whatever, we simply must have the facility to determine if someone's good or bad. Like I always look for like, what is the evidence that this person is bad? And I knew with Trump right away, I'm not saying he was bad or the Antichrist or any of that, but he did not talk about the Bill of Rights. And that's all we need. All we need is the Bill of Rights. We don't need anything else. The entire world just needs the Bill of Rights, and that solves the problem. So that's what people need to focus on. And like with Elon Musk, he's a complete hypocrite. He cannot be a small government guy. He was built by the government. That's just ridiculous. His idea is ridiculous. And he's, again, like Trump, just bombastic and combative and doing things that would get you in trouble. You cannot tweet about insider knowledge of I would have been fired from my job if I did that. You can't set an example of doing things wrong and getting away with it. It was like that, all that. I mean, there are other examples, really aggressive. I can't remember, but the examples have come up over time where they're modeling this terrible behavior and then acting like they're your hero and your friend. It's not true. So you have to, I think, approach it with discernment, how they act. Like that's right out of the Bible, right? By his acts, you will know him or whatever. Like you have to be able to trust your discernment. And so far, I feel like that works. And there is, we were talking about some examples of people who are big in the podcasting world, and some big time podcasters, you can tell that they are pulling punches, or like when John McAfee didn't believe in 9/11 and did believe in the moon landing. I'm like, okay, I don't know why that guy's saying that, but I don't believe that he's being honest about that. And that's kind of sketchy. And then there are other people who say all the right things, but like Stella was saying about Ron Paul, but maybe you just have to have a person like that. Those people, I'm going to wait, because I feel like they'll have to show themselves. Like I'll be cautious about it, but I feel like I'm still relying on my discernment and and the evidence. Like you have to have something to hang on to, or you're going to make yourself crazy and you're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So yes, I think Trump and Musk are fake, but you know, people who haven't revealed themselves, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. And I trust that they'll reveal themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the way that you said that. It's like, you just never really, it's not our fault if they have deceived us, because we don't really know until they take that mask off, you know?
Unless
Except
you
for
can
you,
know and
Monica.
refuse to. Yeah. If you
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
know
well,
and refuse, that's a sin.
It does say to test everything by the scriptures. And I will say one other thing. I pray for discernment on a daily basis. It's a gift.
You pray for for discernment.
Discernment.
Yes.
To keep it sharp.
Yeah. And you know what you need for that is you need to be right with yourself. Because,
know thyself. Exactly.
Yeah. Because if you are not crystal clear on who you are, what your faults are, you cannot like really look within yourself for the truth. Like there's something there that's in the way. And
I agree.
And that's why, like, that's what people will say, like, you can't be objective. I'm like, I'm pretty objective because I go to sleep at night, you know, barefaced, and I try to, like, that's why I remember I quit drinking for like a year and a half, and you had to process like all the stupid things you did when you were a kid and a teenager and all that stuff. Like, you're just not going to sleep at night if you're remembering that stuff. And if you need to like have the TV on, or you need to like drink yourself to sleep or take pills, I think a lot of that is people just not wanting to really look at the truth. And if you have those barriers, I don't think you're going to be able to look, because you're afraid of what would happen if you saw the truth, which is the Republicans lie too. You know, like that would be a problem if you spent your life just hoping for the best.
Are talking
but
about
preparing for the worst.
right?
Say that again, Keel.
I said, you guys are talking about the Matrix, right? Because all that stuff happened in the Matrix.
What?
The Oracle says, "Know thyself," and Neo's struggle throughout the whole movie.
Wow, that's good.
Is this supposed to be real or not? And
yeah, and the guy who goes back
from
gets
the Matrix.
plugged in again.
Does he want to really know if he's the one, or does he not want to know?
Here's something. I am not, I find that figuring that stuff out yourself is the only way to really understand it. Like philosophy, like I always say, philosophy should be taught in retirement homes, not in colleges, because I don't think you can understand it from words on a page unless it's somebody trying to articulate what you have actually induced, you know, or whatever, however you get information like firsthand inside your brain. So I feel like that's the same thing with these little things that may sound trite or, you know, came straight out of the Matrix. Like there's a million possible things that you could quote from a million possible movies, but it's only when you've actually had that insight. And maybe it is a smorgasbord that for each individual person. But I do think that those kind of truths, hey man, the Matrix was there for a reason.
Or maybe we're in the Matrix.
Oh, well, we are actually. So yeah, we could philosophize forever. We'll have to do this again. This is super, super fun. I love it. Where's Ashley?
Well, Ashley couldn't make it tonight, but something you were saying was reminding me of her, because I was sort of thinking about what we do about the majority of these blue-pilled people who are going along with everything, and you know that's fine. But during the COVID epoch, it was a bit dangerous to us all, didn't they? They wanted to lock us up and jab us and maybe even kill us because they thought we were a danger to everything. Do we just have to give up on them, or do we and go our own way, or can we sort of bring them all back together in a sort of lovely kumbaya moment? And
I think this is a Brucey question, because I feel like is truth true? Well, but will they come around? Well,
I just hang out with these people now.
That life is short. But do you think that truth is just that we have this you can't fool all the people all the time? Or you think they're hopeless?
A lot of them are hopeless.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are hopeless. Yeah,
Because I've seen so many instances where it's the perfect example is the I hate to keep going back to the COVID shit, but like the
Vagina.
and how if you don't take it, the people that were screaming at you that if you don't take it, you're killing people, you need to take it. Those same exact people you say, how's that
Vagina.
working out for you? And they go, it's just supposed to keep you out of the hospital. That's what they say now. So why did you scream that I needed to take this or I'm going to kill you? And now
And that's what it said from the beginning. That was the truth from the beginning.
And now I know, but now they you just switch to that.
Yeah.
What the fuck were you talking about?
They don't think that far ahead. I mean, they can't think past their own nose. So that kind of rational argument is going to go nowhere with people like that.
I'm not even trying to have an argument. It's just ridiculous.
No, I know. I don't know what I've been asking myself the same
thing.
They
don't seem to be open to logic and facts and sort of reasonable argument, do they? It's like a religion. It's like a culture. It's a death cult in many ways.
But they are brainwashed. They are literally brainwashed. They are plugged into certain devices and they are on a certain frequency.
They're the same people that shit on religion and scream science, but they're treating it like a religion.
It's super religious.
It's the same shit.
But I wonder if it's like what Toons said in the masculinity episode about, okay, what's going to happen when the soy boy is in charge of, minding the borders or whatever. If people can't recognize truth, how long do they occupy high staff positions? How long can those people, doesn't the whole thing fall apart if you've culled out anyone who can think?
What's the city in Mississippi?
Sorry, Toons.
No, Jackson, Mississippi, where they don't have water anymore because they affirmative actioned all their
engineers out of a job.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens.
I mean that's what's happening on boards.
Simple as.
They're only women can sit on boards. So in industries that don't have a lot of high-ranking women, there's just like one guy on the board who now runs the entire board. And I can't believe this is a thing, but like the chairman of the board and the CEO are often the same person, which means no board.
Exactly,
nobody is minding the store, which I guess means they're plugging into that big matrix in Switzerland. But
that's what's happening. I think that everything pretty much at a level beyond anything that we could possibly really fathom has been so infiltrated that the top level areas are being run with, as you say, one or two people, while the other useless, non-thinking people that are left, they're there to pull their strings sort of thing and just be drones, do their work. But that is what I believe is happening. It is so infiltrated now, which is why they don't even have to pretend anymore. They don't have to pretend to be our friend. They don't have to pretend to be
that
doing
day will come.
The right thing, because it is so infiltrated. And I do, I'll stop there.
We're going to have to bring it up to a white pill. I will not end on a black pill.
No, I don't think it is a black pill because, I think our society has gone badly wrong and it's heading for a collapse. But I think something good might come out of it. And Toons often says that, that we've got hard times ahead, but we'll win in the end and good things will come out of it.
I think we are the white pills.
Yeah,
I was just thinking that same thing, Stella.
Some people are not genetically because I worry about GMO people not being able to think. GMO people is the end of humanity, but there are enough of us who are keeping our seats at the table of humanity that, my son, Fat Mitch, I shouldn't probably out him as my son, even though Fat Mitch isn't really his name, but he says it's Blade Runner. He said it's going to be Blade Runner. It's not going to be The Matrix. It's going to be Blade Runner, where it's kind of normal, but a little bit fucked up. And people are, people are human, but also robots. And some of the robots are human. But basically, we're all going to have the same crap. And, our kids are going to be our kids. And I was like, but is there going to be like a Fat Mitch and a Monica in the future? He's like, yeah, but they're going to be future Fat Mitches and future Monicas. So I think as long as there isn't a GMO, like as long as we will still be human beings and our descendants will be human beings. And there was fluoride in the water when I grew up and I can still think. So it's not perfect, but I feel like we're going to be the seeds of humanity. And do you really need 7 billion seeds? Maybe maybe if there's, 2 or 3 billion of us, like Bill Gates is like, oh, that's all you need. It's like, but that you're going to have at least that many, if it's enough for a seed population of people who aren't GMO'd and are the descendants of people like us.
Well, isn't Genghis Khan like 10% of the Asian population?
That's
So-
another thing. Fat Mitch
so-
walks around the house doing Mongolian throat singing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
What do you mean, hell yeah? Like, how is that?
That's just
amazing.
awesome,
Awesome.
man. That's just
That's
awesome.
awesome.
And
yeah.
he's so
That's
good
toxic
at it.
masculinity.
Yeah.
He's so good. He knows the guy. Like he has on his Spotify like the guy, like the best Mongolian throat singer. It's very funny. And then I talked to Habore Morich, and he did a Peace Corps stint in Mongolia. So it was, just I didn't know Mongolia was making such a comeback. I think it's the Who. I think it's the Who that's making a
Oh,
comeback.
very good. I love the Who.
Yeah, the Who. So yes,
So,
so
600 years from now, all the men will be 10%
be-
me,
they'll
10%
be-
the rest of you.
Tunes, yeah.
Yeah. We got that to look forward to.
You're going to need a force multiplier, and I'm not sure that one chicken at a time is going to do it. Tunes, but-
Maybe my son. You don't know.
Yes, we'll have to adapt our morality to the new needs. But
I
yeah,
think that's
so
what
that's
our
good.
what our
I'm
job's going to
happy.
be, is to retain the wisdom. Because if things do disappear, just imagine if the internet and everything disappeared. Your books are going to be really valuable. Just our wisdom. It could go back to passing things on word of mouth for some time. We don't know, because we are so dependent. We just assume that everything's still going to be working tomorrow, but maybe not.
It might be an improvement, because then really
Oh, I
you
think
wouldn't
so.
waste your time on anything that isn't true.
Absolutely, I think it would be awesome.
I'm going first thing
I
I'm
want to
doing,
go backwards.
I'm going to Lanny and Chuds. That's what if I had to to start on the road, I would head straight
choice.
up to Lanny and Chuds. Yeah. And
Yeah.
if I was in New England, I would head to these guys, 603.
Come on up.
I've got a white pill from you, Monica,
All right,
from what you were
let's
saying
hear it.
about the Who. The Who, the Mongolian heavy metal band, who are awesome, by the way, are extremely popular on YouTube. And I think one of the reasons is they've got this song, Wolf Totem, which is all about how if people are going to invade their land, they're going to basically kill them and attack them with swords, and basically they'll regret them. So they're sort of celebrating a more traditional form of masculinity. And I think that's very popular. People are crying out for that in the West, because I think deep down, even normies know that what's going on is not quite right. It's kind of anti-common sense and anti-reality, really. And people don't really feel comfortable with that, I think.
Yeah. And there is a reality of having kids and paying taxes that I think wake people up to, that's why it's all like the college students who are the most vociferous. And I think that they're a naturally, they're a self-curing thing. They will grow up and out of that.
Yeah.
Grand pendulum is going to swing back, and maybe we're seeing the starts of it in these little bits and pieces.
Amen.
We are at the vanguard of that.
I know we're going to get ready to close out. Thank you, Monica. You went a little over for us, so we're going to have a part 1 and a part 2 with this. And so, Monica, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you, and then just let us know?
Yes, I certainly will. Thank you. So I am Monica Perez. I do still contribute all my content to rockfin.com/propaganda report, but I am now, I'm on the Propaganda Report on your favorite podcasting platform, but also Deep Dives with Monica Perez, where I do put everything that I do, which is interviews, buddy dives like this, and my deep dives, where I take one headline from the day and really figure out what's underneath that story. And I think that adds a lot of value, and I spend a lot of time and effort on it. People seem to like it. And that's what I try to focus my time on, because I feel like it's the most value added. And you can get that at the feed is Monica's, is Deep Dives with Monica Perez. My website's monicasdeepdives.com. And that's it. I put my stuff on Rumble and Rockfin, and
where can we get one of those cool mugs that Keel has?
Oh, thank you for asking. Well, to my hosts, I will send them as a courtesy. But if anybody else wants to buy them, yeah, and I'm thinking of doing one with my actual logo that has my face on it and calling it the mug.
Okay.
So that is, thank you. I like it. I like the
I love that.
Yeah, I like the colors, even though Ukraine kind of ripped them off a little bit, but that too shall pass. You can get that at monicasdeepdives.com. If you go to support, there's a little shopping button there, and you can get that. You can get Propaganda Report t-shirts and all that good stuff.
I am currently using my Monica mug right now too.
Nice.
Thank you, everyone, for coming on this evening. Really appreciate it. Monica, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for being our, what was it, mother of podcasting or something?
Podmother.
Yes,
Podmother,
Monica,
that's right.
I need to thank you, Monica. I need to thank you, because without you, I never would have met any of these lovely people.
That's so great. That was such
so
a
great.
valuable effort.
No, it's for real. I talk to all of these people on a daily basis now, and
I felt so guilty when I had to step back
Yeah.
from the Propaganda Report, but I just could not. I don't know how I did it for so long, but I could not
a lot of
sustain that.
It's a
It was
lot of work.
Yeah. But when I think of the lasting connections that came out of that, the community that we built, like, I would not have changed that for anything. Like, it was the one fruit of my labors there that I feel like had some profound value was the connections I've made, also the friendships I've made with you guys. I mean, I've in real life, like, gotten on planes and just to visit people who I met through the show. And it's just been great. I'm so glad. Just does my heart good.
I think
I hope to see you in Australia.
that's the real white pill here, is that we've all come
Yes.
together. We've created things, and we've created this show. This would never have happened. I mean, it's a good
Yeah.
thing. It's just going to get better.
Yeah, and the support, like it's an antidote to this, psychological attack from that the
Mhm.
screens are all about that, but it's also it's kind of like eBay. It's like eBay is the greatest thing that came out of the internet, because you're connecting this obscure little piece of trash with somebody who thinks it's treasure, and you could never do it any other way. It's just genius. And I feel like this is the same thing. Like, the chances I've lived in places for years and made like no friends. And now just through this show, I've made like dozens of actual friends, people I would count on, really. And that's great. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, you have a fantastic evening. This is another episode of Union of the Unknowns. All right, ciao.
Thanks. Love y'all.
See you guys. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Union of the Unknowns. You can find new episodes every week on all your favorite podcasting networks.